Hi everybody, it's me, Professor Jonathan Vasquez, and today you're going to learn about ED pronunciation and connected speech. I decided to make this video with two topics because in that sense you will understand the two topics in a better way. So let's start with ED pronunciation. Hi everybody, welcome to your English phonetics course. As I said it before, this video is going to be linked with two different topics, and I decided to do it in this way because in that sense you can understand one video that is consequently with the other one. So we're going to start first with ED pronunciation. Alright, so we already know that when we're going to talk about the consonant sounds, there is something that is called manners of articulations, which are basically the 5 groups that you can see on the screen. We have nasals, plosive, fricative, affricates, and approximants. All of them are consonant sounds. So today we're going to see how these consonant sounds are pronounced when we are going to say the ED pronunciation. So we already know that those consonant sounds are divided into two different categories, which are basically voiceless sounds and voiced sounds. I decided to put a cross in red, not because it is wrong, but just for you to remember that when we are going to pronounce any voiceless sound, we don't have to make any effort in our vocal cord. It means that our vocal cords are not going to vibrate. On the contrary, when we are going to pronounce a voiced sound, it does vibrate. That's why there's like a check in green. Okay? So as we already know all the consonant sounds, I decided to divide them into the 5 groups, which are nasal, plosive, fricative, affricates, and approximants. And in that sense, they are separated with the voiceless sounds and the voiced sounds. So we have that in the first place, in the nasal group, we have that there is non-voiceless. All of them are voiced. Then in second place, we have plosive, and we have 3 of them in the voiceless sound and 3 of them in the voiced sound. Then we have fricative, and here we have 5 different phonemes which are voiceless, and on the contrary, we have 4 of them which are voiced. In the next group, we have affricates, and as there are only 2, one is voiceless and the other one is voiced. And finally, approximants, none of them are voiceless, all of them are voiced. I want you to please pay attention to these same groups and in the way I separate them, because I think it's better if you learn the consonant sounds by the voiceless sound and the voiced sounds. Alright, so ED pronunciation. Let me move this over here. And in that sense, I can explain the ED pronunciation. So ED pronunciation basically is the ED ending of the regular verbs and any single adjective or word that ends with ED. So here we have that this ED pronunciation is pronounced in 3 different categories. We cannot pronounce ED as we think it is, but there are some different rules. So we have 3 different rules in here, and I'm going to explain them all. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is T. Then after that, I'm going to explain the second rule, which is D, and at the end, ED. Alright, so let's move on to the first one. So when are we going to pronounce T as a ED? So we are going to pronounce this T sound after all the voiceless consonant sounds. That's why it's really important for you to learn which consonant sounds are voiceless and which are voiced, because when we are going to pronounce ED as T sound, it means that all the consonant sounds are involved in here. There is only one exception with T sound, and it's the T, of course, and you're going to see why when I explain rule number 3. So it means that all the consonant sounds that are voiceless, which are this one, except from plosive, and then fricative, and affricate, j. All of them are going to be pronounced with t, like that. Don't worry if you do not understand the theory. I'm going to give you some examples after this explanation, so maybe you will understand them in context. Alright, but basically when we are going to pronounce the t sound as an ed, we have to pay attention to the voiceless sounds. Alright, so let's move on to the second category or the second rule, which is d. But this d is not as d as this letter, but is d. And this d sound is pronounced after all the voiced consonant sounds and also the vowel sounds. That's why it's really important for you to remember the vowel sounds and the voiced consonant sounds. So in here we have more consonant sounds because we make some effort when we pronounce these consonant sounds. So in the first place we have nasal, and here we have three different phonemes, which are in plosive we have and d. But remember that here there's one exception, which is the sound, so it's not included. Then we have fricative, which are affricates, which is ch, and approximants, which are o. Alright? So remember these sounds because basically you are not working with letters, you're working with sounds. It means that every time that you see a word, you're not going to pay attention to the letter that it's ending, but the sound that is ending. Alright? And at the end we have the final rule, which is ed. It means that the words that I'm going to explain right now are the only ones that are going to be pronounced with ed. And those words are the ones that ends with t and d, which are the exceptions from rule number 1 and rule number 2. It means that every time that you see a t or a d at the end of the verb or at the end of the word, it means that after that there's an ed, and in that sense you are going to pronounce the ed. Alright? So I'm going to make a summary about everything because basically the theory is really simple. So ed pronunciation, there are three different rules. The first one is when we pronounce ed as a t sound. The second one when we pronounce ed as a d sound. And finally the third rule when we pronounce ed as an ed. Alright? In the first rule, t sound, we have to pay attention to the voiceless sounds. That's why it's really important for you to learn them. In the second rule, we have to pay attention to the voiced consonant sounds and the vowel sounds. And in the third rule, basically, is the exception from rule number 1 and the exception from rule number 2, which is the t sound and the d sound. Alright? So now I'm gonna give you some examples for you to understand better. And here we have the three different categories. The first one, which is t. And here I'm going to show you some examples. So I'm going to start with the first one. Remember that we have to identify the ed, and before the ed we have to see what is the last sound, not the letter. Alright? So here we have that ask ends with k sound. Alright? So k is voiceless. That's why we are going to pronounce asked. This ed pronunciation is t. It is not asked, but it's asked. Then we have changed, developed, finished, and helped. Here I'm going to clarify that change ends in sh, the sh sound. That's why we pronounce it as changed, and at the end we add the t. Then we have develop, which is sound, and then we have the ed pronounced as developed with t. Finish, same. It means that we're going to put the t, finished. And then help, again, sound. It means helped. Alright? Then I'm going to move on with the second one, which is d sound. So here we have, and that's why it's really important for you to know that when we pronounce agree, this, even though it's a vowel, the ending is lowercase I, agree. That's why the ed pronunciation is going to be sound as d sound, because first of all is a vowel sound. All right, so when we are going to say this in past is agreed, d, agreed. Then we have believe, ends with v sound, it means believed. Then we have called, carried, and explained. If you pay attention to the endings of these words, all of the sounds that ends with the word are voiced sounds. In the first one we have a vowel sound, in the second one we have v, in the third one we have l, in the fourth one we have and in the last one we have Alright? Now let's move on to the next one, which is the last one. And here I want you to pay attention to something, because from this group there is another rule which you have to pay attention. So let's start with the first one, which is accept. If you pay attention, accept ends with T. That's why it belongs to this group, because in that sense you're going to pronounce accepted. It means that the ed pronunciation is going to be pronounced as ed, accepted, accepted. Then we have act, which ends in T. So that's why we're going to pronounce acted, acted. Then we have admit, but here admit ends in T. And before the T there is another T. It means that you have to learn the new rule, which is that every time that you see a T or a D between two vowels, that T or that D is going to be pronounced as an R. It means that we're going to say admitted, admitted in past, because this T sound is the same T. We don't say admit, we don't double pronounce the T. That's why it is admitted. Same case in decided, because this D is in between a vowel and another vowel. So it is decided. And at the end we have expected, which is not the case of the rule. Alright, so what I could recommend to all of you is to practice. As soon as you see a verb or as soon as you see a word that ends with ed, so try to see and try to recognize the consonant sound that is at the end, and in that sense you can divide it into the three different rules, and consequently you can pronounce it correctly. Alright? Alright, so now we're gonna move on with connected speech. Connected speech. What is connected speech? Basically is to connect everything that you see, because when we speak in English, we do not pronounce all the words one by one. It means that every time that you're going to pronounce a whole sentence, you are going to connect some words, and that is exactly connected speech. In here, there are three different rules, but basically there are only two, and the second one is divided in two big ones. And I'm going to explain them all, and in that sense you can practice at home, alright? So rule number one, it says that it ends in a consonant and begins with a consonant. It means that every time that you see two different words and the first word ends in a consonant and the second one begins with a consonant, what you're going to do is that you're going to put the same pronunciation together. It means consonant plus consonant. In the case, I have some examples in here, and you can see that the red one is the first consonant, which is the one that ends, and the green one is the one that starts or begins. So in here we have that book ends with k sound, and club starts with k, the same one. Remember that we are working with sounds, not with letters. And if you pay attention to the word club, it is not written with k sound, but it's pronounced with the k sound. It means that the first word ends with a k sound and the second one starts with a k sound. It means that we're going to put the same sound together, and in that sense we're going to pronounce only one sound, which is k. So in here we're going to say something like book and then club. As I'm going to put the two words together, it's going to sound like book club. book club. Same as best and time. Two words, the first one ends with t and the second one starts with t. It means that we're going to put the sound together and it's going to sound like best time. Best time. We are not going to say best time, but we're going to put the sound together in only one sound. Best time. Same as big grape. Big grape. Big grape. Right? Rule number 2. Here we have that there are two different categories, let's call it in that way. And the first one is that the word ends in a consonant and the following word begins but with a vowel, not with a consonant as in rule number 1. So here we have consonant, which is the red one, and vowel, which is the blue one. So we have stop, which ends in a P consonant, and it, which starts with a vowel. So here what we're going to do is that we're going to put the sound together, and it means that it's going to sound like stop it. Stop it. It means that the consonant sound is going to be linked with the vowel sound. That's why we pronounce stop it, pet, stop it. Same as I need it. Remember that here we have consonant, but this D is in between E and I, which are vowel sounds. That's why it's pronounced as R. I need it. I need it. And then at the end we have read a book. Read a book. In here, if you pay attention, the D is in between vowel and vowel. That's why we are going to pronounce it as read a. Read a book. Read a book. So stop it. I need it. Read a book. On the other hand, we have that the word ends in a consonant but begins with an H. If you pay attention, here it's not a consonant but it's ED, the ED pronunciation. That's why it is in the same rule number 2. So some examples are I stopped. Remember that here ED is pronounced as a T. I stopped. And then we have her. Her indicates as the word begins with an H. So basically what we're going to do here is that we're going to put the T and the H together. It's going to sound something like this. I stopped her. Stop her. Talk. I stopped her talk. In the other case, I loved. Remember that this one is not T, but D. Remember that this one is not T, but D. And here we say he loved, and then we have his. So we are going to put the D and the his together, and it's going to sound something like he loved this smile. He loved this smile. So remember, I stopped her talk. He loved this smile. Alright? So I have some examples in here so you can maybe understand the rules in context. And the first one is, I need it more than you do. Here we're going to pay attention to the consonant sound, which is D. But this D is in between a vowel and another vowel. That's why this one is pronounced as an R. And here we are going to put this sound together with this one. I need it. I need it more than you do. Second one. Could you read a book for me, Mom? Could you read a book for me, Mom? Third one. I had the best time ever. It is not I have the best time, but I have the best time ever. Have a good day. Here it's not have a good day, but have a good day. Same sound together. Then fourth one. You need to stop it right now. So pay attention that here we have two consonant sounds. So you need to stop it. In here we have consonant and vowel. That's why we put the sound together. You need to stop it right now. And last one, we raised her expectation. Raised her expectations. Alright? I'm going to read it again so you can actually understand them better. I need it more than you do. Could you read a book for me, Mom? I had the best time ever. Have a good day. You need to stop it right now. We raised her expectations. Alright, so now I have one story that we're going to work on class. I just want you to pay attention to the first paragraph, which is the one that I'm going to read. And in that sense, you can actually understand the sounds better, alright? So the red ones are the ones that are going to be pronounced with t. The blue ones are the ones that are going to be pronounced with d. And the green ones are the ones that are going to be pronounced with ed. So yesterday was so busy. At the office, I worked hard. We can say I worked hard, or we can say I worked hard with my team. We developed a new advertising plan. Our meeting lasted about 2 hours. I remembered an advertising plan that worked 5 years ago, so I suggested we should try it again. We needed to get the manager's approval, so we called him on the office phone. He admitted that the idea seemed good, but he believed we should lower the budget. We reported our numbers to him and talked about the budget for a long time. Finally, he decided to give us the money we wanted. Here we can pay attention to the ed pronunciation, which is the first topic that this video contained. And in the second part we have connected speech. It means all the words that are connected in only one sound. Like for example, we should try it again. In here there is only one sound. It is not we should try it again, but we should try it again. Alright? So pay attention to all the connected sounds that I spoke, and in that sense you can practice. Alright? Don't pay attention to the second or the third paragraph, because this story is going to be worked in class. Alright? That's it. Have a good day. I will see you in class.